our next guest. Remember him when he was back in the day in Strikeforce, just a little guy fighting in the Strikeforce Challengers? Well, now he's the champ, and he'll be the man who will be headlining UFC 230 on November 3rd at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, the world's most famous arena. There he is, making history on today's program, the first guest to appear 4 times on the brand new Helwani Show. Our friend and yours, Daniel Cormier. DC, how are you? What's so funny?
Making history again, huh? There you go, DC.
All day.
4th time on the Helwani Show. Nah, I'm excited, man. I'm doing good. Just laying here, resting before training.
Just chilling. A week ago, you're just kind of living life, double champ, all this and more. What a week for you. Not only are you headlining Madison Square Garden, you're getting your belt taken away, the light heavyweight belt. It's a very eventful week in your life.
It's been a roller coaster. It's been a roller coaster, right? So it went so high up with the fight announcement, and it was down with the belt getting taken, and now I'm just even. Look, if I've been anything, I've been kind of consistent, right?
Yes.
And I just get back to being consistent, man. Consistent, trying to do the right thing, get prepared for this fight.
Okay, let me ask you, a couple of weeks ago you were on the program, and again, as I've said to you a million times, we don't take your appearances for granted. You're a very busy man. I wish they were all as gracious with their time as you are, so thank you again, as always.
Mm-hmm.
But you said things were tense. You said you were kind of in a weird spot for the first time in the UFC. How do we go from that to headlining MSG? How did this opportunity against Derrick Lewis come about? Where did it start? What's the genesis?
Okay, so I go to UFC 229 to watch Khabib and Conor.
Yep.
And I go and, like Dana said, I buy tickets. I buy tickets for my kids to go to the fight. We were given some tickets, and I buy tickets, and then the whole fight happens, and then Dana calls back and goes, "We're giving you your money back because of you helping us try to calm everybody down." He goes, "We can't charge you for tickets," and then but before that, Mick Maynard calls me and goes, "What do you think about fighting in New York?" And I was like, "Man," "my hand's messed up." I go, "I haven't been training." I go, I don't know." I said, "Who would I fight?" Now, this is where it gets different, right? A few weeks ago, they asked me to fight in New York. And I said, "I don't know. My hand's in the same, situation. Who am I going to fight?" They said, "Well, we don't know yet." I'm not just going to say, "Well, I'm going to fight anybody," without knowing, especially with how I was feeling. And they said, "Well, how about you fight Derrick Lewis in Madison Square Garden?" I said, "Okay, let me look at it and see how my hand holds up and see if it works. And if it doesn't, I'll do it." So I went to the gym and hit the bag, hit some pads, and felt pretty good. And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do it."
And how does the hand feel now, a week later, now that you're actually training?
It feels good. So I went to the doctor, got an x-ray. My hand's not broken. The finger's not broken anymore. But now it's like you have a jam finger, and you can't push it down to make it pop. Mm-hmm. That's where I am.
Okay.
So I'm just like the range of motion is just not completely there. So when I try to close my fist, I still can't make a complete fist because there's some scar tissue over where the break was. In my knuckle, I can't just push my finger all the way in. But outside of that, it feels pretty good. I'm just kind of I bet if I really push down on my finger, I could pop it. But I'm kind of scared a little bit. So I'm just kind of hoping that in the middle of sparring or something, I punch somebody and it pops and then I'm okay.
And this is your right hand, correct?
It's my right hand, yes.
Any concerns in the fight? I mean, Derrick's a big guy. You're going to have to punch him hard. Do you have concerns?
Yes. A little bit, but I mean, it is what it is. I fought 25 minutes with a broken hand against Josh Barnett, so it's not broken. So I'm better today than I was when I was in that fight for 23 and a half minutes. So we'll see what happens.
And what kind of have you been in the gym a lot lately, or do you feel like you're going to have to work on your cardio a lot the next couple of weeks?
I'm going to have to really work on my cardio in the last few weeks. First week was very hard cardio. I did a lot of high intense cardio to try to start to get myself ready for this fight. Again, Ariel, this is why this fight was really opponent-specific, because I needed to look at the matchup to understand if I could even go fight Derrick, and Derrick, for all that he is, he's a guy that to win most of his fights, he has to knock you out. And he isn't known as a cardio machine. So I figured if I can get in great cardio shape and not get knocked out, I can compete with him.
Stipe Miocic is very upset. You have really ruffled his feathers. Does he have a legit gripe here, or should he understand where you're coming from?
No, he has a legit gripe.
Oh.
I never said he did.
Okay.
He could be mad that he's not getting a rematch. Look, he got bumped for Brock Lesnar, and then he also gets bumped for Derrick Lewis. But if anything, he should take it more as a compliment, because even at 5 weeks, fighting Stipe Miocic wasn't really ideal, because I want to give him my best product. He's that good. With Derrick, I'm going to try to get in the best shape that I can. But again, the path to his victory is pretty clear. He has to knock me out. I figure if we go 25 minutes, I'll win the fight. I cannot say that about Stipe. I think he can do a lot of different things to win a fight. And I'm trying to give this guy a compliment. Like, I'm really trying to compliment him. I'm not trying to insult him and say, I'll beat him every single time or anything. I'm saying he's a great fighter, and it showed by his title defenses. That's why I didn't want to fight him on short notice. Don't think for a second I'm scared of Stipe Miocic. That is insane that I'm afraid of him. So this whole ducking him claim, I guess he can say that, but it was ultimately me just saying, I'll fight you, just not right now.
What is it like preparing for this fight, and the world is telling you, oh, man, you're going to smoke Derrick Lewis. You're a 9-1 favorite. He's got no cardio. His back flares up all the time. He's not on your level. You're fighting the likes of Stipe and Jon Jones, etc. Does that play tricks on your mind?
Look, man, there are a lot of times where I've seen great athletes come off the biggest wins of their career, and they just get flatlined right afterwards. Because you start looking past the next guy, because the next guy is supposed to be the fight that you're supposed to win. I was an underdog against Stipe Miocic and came on and fought to the best of my ability, because I knew I had to be perfect to win the fight. This guy, I have to be perfect to win the fight. There is no who's next. There is no Brock Lesnar at this point, or Jon Jones, or anybody else. There's only Derrick Lewis, and that's the only way for me to go out there and win this fight and do it in the fashion that I want to. I mean, this is not a trap game for me. We've seen it time and time again in sport, where you start to look to what's next and you get beat. I'm preparing as if I prepare for every single fight. It's just another Anthony Johnson to me. Johnson was just faster and a little more polished, but he was another guy that I thought could only win if he knocked me out. And if I stopped that, I was going to be okay. What's
your relationship like with Derrick? That clip has surfaced now of you two going back and forth at the press conference where he's sizing you up in the Popeyes. Is there any beef there?
Nah, I don't have a problem with Derrick. He's from Louisiana, New Orleans kid. He's a good guy, man. I think Derrick kind of is like, Derrick had some issues early in his adulthood, and for him to be where he is today, hats off to him, But I think when you think about that, I respect him, but I also love Dan Henderson, and you saw what happened to him. I love Dan Henderson since I was a kid, and you saw what I did to him, so... regardless of if I like you or don't, I'm going to go out there and try to trash you and just really beat you.
You mentioned the opponent playing a factor, but how much of a factor was MSG? Because I know that's always been a big deal, but I think you kind of, you were kind of, resigned to the fact that it's probably not going to happen. Just it wasn't going to work out for you timeline-wise. Was this a big deal for you to finally fight at the world's most famous arena?
It sucks, too, man, because the UFC knows that. They know, historical stuff matters to me, right? So they kind of dangle those things in front of me, like, yo, you get the main event, Madison Square Garden. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, you can main event Madison Square Garden. And then my ears perk up, and it's like, God dang, man, again, dog, it's like dangle the carrot, knowing that I'm the guy that'll jump, because historical stuff matters, man, and to fight in the same arena as some of the greatest fights of all time. The greatest fighters have competed there: Frazier, Ali, Conor, Eddie, Khabib, George St. Pierre, Michael Bisping. They've all fought in that arena in a short period of time, and this is the first time that I get to compete there since 2003. In 2003, Wrestling World Championships were in New York City. And I remember every time I would walk to the arena, I would have this feeling as I was heading there, like, I'm actually getting to go wrestle at Madison Square. It was, that stuff means something to me. And sometimes it's great, but other times it can not be so great because you end up doing things that you weren't really planning to do.
Okay, speaking of which, I always ask you about the timeline. How does this affect your timeline?
This actually does nothing to it. This actually works perfect. I mean, obviously there's a January pay-per-view, and then there's a March pay-per-view, and I think Brock and I will fight on the March pay-per-view. So it works out perfect. It works out absolutely perfect.
Wait, so what's the January pay-per-view?
I don't know. I don't know the dates, but I mean, there's a pay-per-view in January. There's
No, but
there's a pay-per-view in March.
Yeah, but you said you and Brock will fight in March. So does that mean you only have one fight left?
That's it. Probably. That's it. This one and 2 fights left because I have to fight Derrick.
Yeah.
And then fight Lesnar. Yeah, fight Derrick and fight Lesnar. So it's pretty much it.
No Jon Jones?
We're winding down. I mean, I could fight Jon Jones. I could definitely fight Jon Jones. But am I supposed to allow Jon Jones to dictate to me when I get to retire now? I mean, that's crazy. You can tell me when I can retire now? I have to wait to fight him so that I can retire then? I don't know.
He told me he's happy for you. I spoke to him. I don't know if you saw the interview, but he said he's happy for you and doesn't seem interested in fighting you. Do you buy that?
No. I don't buy it. And look, man, it's easy to say I'm happy for a guy, but also take a little dig at him with the next paragraph.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that Jon says that I don't necessarily buy, but I don't think anybody does for the most part. Hey, very interesting the timing of that article too. I want to say that. I just really got to say the timing of that article is very interesting. So
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, everything in this whole suspension thing was kind of interesting. From the date of the suspension being announced, like the night before McGregor versus Khabib, that was crazy. Like, because it was like a big deal for like 10 hours, and then all of a sudden it was over because everybody was talking about Khabib versus Conor. So, and then like I think that article you dropped came right before the Conor versus Khabib weigh. I was like, what in the world is happening? Either Jon has a great PR team, or I really don't know. I don't understand how the circumstances have worked out so perfect to where anything that, has happened has kind of been at ideal times to where it's out, but then nobody really knows that it's out because it was always surrounded by the biggest thing that was ever happening in our sport.
That's good PR. Smart. Savvy.
That's really good PR. Smart. Savvy. So maybe he's changed that team a little bit because before they were always making PR mishaps. Now they're like doing the right thing on the PR side. Before it was like PR mishap after mishap after mishap after mishap. But now it's like they're getting it right. So good job, Team Jones.
As you mentioned earlier, you were front and center for the Khabib-Conor melee, the fight. Great footage, by the way. Anatomy of the fighter of you in the locker room afterwards, before the fight, pumping up Khabib. Were you hurt at all in all of that? Were you next to the brawl, or were you on the other side?
I was on the other side, but I jumped over the fence to go help, and then listen to this.
Oh.
Little Daniel, my son, jumped over the rail too. He was going to go help Khabib. Little Daniel was going to help Khabib and help his dad. My wife had to grab him and drag him back over the rail. Then the UFC security grabbed my children, took them back to the locker room, and came back and got my wife to put them all back to where it was safe because it was a nightmare. And let me tell you what was more crazy. All right? So, there's a guy behind me. This is the craziest story. There's a guy behind me. He's wearing this nice jacket, August McGregor. So he's standing behind me, and he goes, who do you got in the fight? So the guy's, completely, not into the game, right?
Yeah.
I go, yeah, I'm going to go with Khabib. So after the fight, when we all jumped the rail, I'm, in the octagon looking, and the guy's, checking on Conor. I think he was just like a fan. He was like a fan that jumped the rail when everybody else jumped the rail. Got all the way to the octagon. He was checking on Conor. And I asked my wife, I go, Selena, what happened? Where was that guy? I go, was that team was ready? She goes, Daniel, after he went and checked to make sure Conor was okay, he just got back in his seat.
What?
I swear to God. She goes, he just climbed the rail, got back in his seat. What in the world just happened? I was like, what in the world just happened, dude? It was crazy. The guy just went and checked. He was in the octagon. I was like, how's this dude end up in the octagon? And then he checked, make sure Conor was okay, and then he went back and sat down.
That's how crazy the whole thing. Were you ever worried that it was going to really explode?
I think it exploded on one guy's face on the concourse as he was spitting on people. I saw that on the internet, but what I didn't see, Ariel, was one of the Daniel's football coaches, my son's football coach. His name is Coach Day. Him and his wife went to the fight. As the guy is spitting on the people behind him, Daniel's football coach walks right past him. I saw him on the video. So he was right next to that guy getting knocked out on the concourse.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, it was really close to home. He was like, Daniel, I was right next to that. He goes, it was the most insane thing. He was like, I was trying to get my wife out of there, but people were fighting on the concourse and not just in the arena. I thought it was nuts. But you see, you know what the craziest thing was? It's that for the first time in a Conor fight, Conor obviously is the most popular guy that the UFC's ever seen. There were tons of Irish fans. But for the first time, it seemed as though there were people that were as passionate about Khabib, so it ended up being like that. Even when he fought Aldo, right? All the Brazilians just, they weren't as, raucous as they normally are. And I think it was the first time that there was an equal or as passionate group of fans for Khabib, and when you saw what happened, it exploded.
What was Khabib saying to you as you were trying to calm him down? Like, what was his message? What was he actually saying and all that?
I was actually going up to him, trying to talk to him, but they kept pushing me. And he said, "This is my Capitan. Let him talk to me." When I finally got close enough, I said, "Hey, what in the world is going on?" I said, "What are you doing?" I go, "You have got to calm down." "Okay, Capitan." I said, "You got to calm down, man. What is going on?" That literally was what we were talking about. I go, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, it was in this voice. So I go, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "You have got to calm down." Okay. I want my belt. Please give me my belt. He just kept saying, give him his belt, man. The dude was worked up.
Yeah.
Dude was mad, man. I've never seen him like that before. Honestly, I've never seen him act like that.
But you have come out and said you don't think anyone should be punished. It's tit for tat. Let's just move on, right? Zuba, Khabib.
There should be punishment. Okay. I'm not saying there shouldn't be punishment. There should be some sort of punishment. But I think I don't know if guys should be cut. I saw somewhere that Zub got taken from the fight.
Yeah. But
I think there should be punishment. But man, this fight ended exactly where it started, dude, in the gutter. It was just in the trenches, nasty, dirty. It was just dirty from the start. I mean, the fight was made and built on a promo of a guy throwing a hand truck into a bus of fighters. Right. Right? And then it just got worse and worse and worse. I mean, seriously, the first clip in the promo is Khabib slapping Artem because Artem said in an interview and called Khabib maybe a B word, and then so Khabib took offense to that, and Khabib hits him, and then Conor retaliates, and they build a fight, and they're arguing the whole time, and then that happened. It's like it just all built to such a bad negative ending, but ultimately the negative ending will lead to an even bigger rematch. Honestly,
that's happening, right?
Crazy. Oh, of course it's happening. Yeah. It's going to lead to a bigger rematch, right? Like the foundation's already being laid. Like Kavanaugh saying they want the rematch. Conor wants the rematch. Dana said they want the rematch. Khabib's going to take a rematch. I mean, why wouldn't he? So, yeah, the rematch is going to be bigger. And I don't know why anyone would think the fight would be different, right? Like, I don't know why anyone would think the fight would be different in a rematch because I thought Conor fought pretty well, honestly. I've got to be honest with you. He did really well defending takedowns. Like, that first takedown, Khabib had to go to, level 4 to get it. He had to go to level 4 to take Conor McGregor down. Conor did a good job. He fought well. He defended takedowns well. He did a good job of holding Khabib in not to take too much damage when he was on his back. He moved his hips on the bottom. I mean, I just don't know what more he can do to change the outcome.
What happens first, the rematch or Khabib versus Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
Rematch happens before Khabib versus.
What is this,
man?
What is this?
Khabib better not go try to box. Khabib better not go try to box Floyd Mayweather, man. Like, God, what is he doing, man? Unless he's just going to do it for money because he's gonna get beat. He gonna get beat, man. I love Khabib, but Khabib is getting beat up by Floyd Mayweather, man. It's crazy. He gonna start wrestling. Khabib gonna start wrestling in the boxing ring. He gonna get beat so bad, he gonna have to start wrestling, man.
Oh man, I can't believe this is actually a thing now. It's gives me a headache.
Everything's crazy.
Yeah.
Everything. This whole the sports world is crazy. You know, it makes you kind of tap your temple with like 3 fingers. You know, like you made a 3-pointer. You know, if you're Carmelo Anthony.
Yes.
Like that type of situation. You know, makes you touch your temple.
Last thing before I let you go, I just have to ask, UFC 187, you defeat Rumble Johnson. You become champion for the first time. You are soaking it in. You are on top of the world. You're at the press conference, and you say, I want the easiest man in the division. I want Ryan Bader. Look at Ryan Bader now on the verge of being the double champ. Come on. What do you think of this?
This is crazy. This is crazy, man. Hey, I'm watching Bader just beat everybody up, too. It's easy. Bader's beating these dudes up easy, man.
He's not getting punched.
I don't know. Man, Bader has not got hit one time in the whole Grand Prix. He beat Mo. Like, he beat Mo up in with one punch. I thought for sure Mo was going to beat him. And then he beat Mitrione, like, very bad. He beat the shit out of Mitrione.
Yeah.
He took him down and just beat him up. It was like he might have won 30-24 over 3 rounds. That's how bad it was. And honestly, I think he beat Fedor.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Fedor, but I don't think Fedor can beat him. Man, Fedor and Chael out there just kind of rolling around. I was like, damn, dog. It's like it's like Fedor and Chael out there doing front flips. Chael did a front flip off of Fedor's back, man. Why did he do that? I was like, what are you doing? Then Chael goes, I'm a rope-a-dope him. I said, Chael, you going to rope-a-dope him by getting punched in the face? This dude hits hard, man. Fedor swinging so hard, he's just falling down. It was crazy. You know what's crazy, too, is that I got a text message on my every now and again you'll get like a tweet or something that really just stands out.
Yeah.
And one guy told me, after last weekend, I know Fedor will beat you. I said, boy, you are just out of your mind. Y'all crazy, man. Fans are crazy. Fans are crazy. It said, after last weekend, I know you can't beat Fedor. I said, well, you know what, man? If I lost to anybody, I guess it would be him because he's the greatest. He's the greatest, and I like him. He's a good guy. But God dang, dog, what in that fight would say that Fedor would beat me right now? Just don't make no sense. It just doesn't make sense, man. But long as people are talking, I'm happy Coker's having success. He's a fantastic guy. I was happy to see Chael get to go out there and put on the show. You know, like glad to see Fedor get a win. You know, obviously Bader's doing good, but yeah, I thought I was gonna steal one back in the day. You know, get that title defense against Ryan Bader back then. I thought I was gonna get a quick one, but they caught me. They called me on my put me in there with Gustafsson. I actually could have fought Bader, but instead I had to go to war with Alexander Gustafsson. Oh, thank you, UFC. Y'all been getting me for a long time.
Well, I have to say, as I said last week, I think the MMA world needs Daniel Cormier and Derrick Lewis after, as you said, that fight in the gutter. So I think you guys are coming to headline here in New York at the perfect time. It's a fun fight. It's a fight that came out of nowhere. I'm going to enjoy the next 2 weeks, and I'm going to enjoy seeing you in New York. Maybe you'll come visit our studio. Who knows?
No, I'm gonna be the fit person on the show because I'm coming live in studio. On the Ariel Helwani MMA Show, the MMA show, Ariel's MMA Show. I'm coming in studio, dog. I got to.
My man.
I got to.
Thank you, DC. All the best. We'll see you soon.
No problem, dog. Yep. Later.
All right, there he is, the one and only Daniel Cormier, the heavyweight and light heavyweight champion of the UFC.